Have you ever stood by a riverbank where fear gives way to hope? Moses is gone. Dawn slips across the plains of Moab. The camp of Israel waits in quiet before a swollen Jordan that will not yield. Into this hush, a charge comes to Joshua. Strength, courage, and careful obedience under the nearness of the Lord. The promise is not a shield from danger. It is a presence that steadies a trembling hand. The ark will go first. Priests will lift its poles. Feet will touch water. The path will be given, not drawn. A scarlet cord is already tied in a distant window, a sign that mercy arrives before the victory. Shout, stones not yet lifted will one day answer children's questions. But for now there is only breath held at the river's edge, and a servant who must believe that the God who led by cloud will open a way no map could find. Lord, place courage in our hearts. Keep us from presumption and from fainting. Give us steady faith to obey the word you speak, and peace to stand where your love leads. Keep us near to your promise and under your mercy. Amen. A river at flood, the ark veiled beneath its coverings, priests gripping poles as the eastern light turns the water to hammered bronze. If a people must cross, where does courage begin? At the water's edge, or in the words spoken before anyone moves? At the outset, Joshua receives courage the way a servant receives a mantle, by promise, presence, and obedient attention. The Lord's charge is clear and steady. Be strong and courageous. Do not turn from it to the right hand or to the left, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. No elaborate route is drawn. Boundaries are named, but the path itself will appear as obedience unfolds. Joshua passes through the camp by his officers with a simple summons. Prepare your provisions. Within 3 days you are to pass over this Jordan. Courage here is not noise. It is a quiet heart that holds to the word and does the next commanded thing. Before a foot touches water, a hidden mercy is set in place beyond the river. 2 spies enter Jericho by night. They find shelter in the house of Rahab, a woman whose livelihood would disqualify her in many eyes, yet whose confession rings with fear and faith. I know that the Lord has given you the land, the Lord your God. He is God in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. She asks for kindness, and a covenant is sworn. A scarlet cord in the window becomes the sign. When judgment passes, this house will stand. The cord is not charm or power. It is a promise made visible, a strand of mercy tied where destruction would otherwise fall. The spies return with a report that lifts hands and hearts. Truly, the Lord has given all the land into our hands. Courage now moves toward water, but not in haste. Joshua sets the people's eyes where they must rest. When you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, then you shall set out, yet there shall be a distance between you and it. Holiness leads, reverence follows. The command is precise. Consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you. Priests will bear the ark. The soles of their feet will rest in the Jordan. Only then will the waters stand in a heap. Courage is married to timing here, the yielded rhythm of hands and feet that move only when the presence moves. No boat is built, no bridge is thrown. Nearness goes first, and the river will learn a new obedience. This first movement of the story binds 3 strands into one: a servant steadied by the word, a household kept by a cord, and a nation arranged around the ark at a holy distance. Promise anchors the heart. Mercy marks a doorway. Obedience sets the pace. The people are not asked to be impressive. They are asked to be attentive. The window is marked and the camp is consecrated. Now the ark will meet the flood, and stones from a dry riverbed will teach children yet to be born what the Lord has done. What makes a river yield and a memory endure? The Lord opens a way where none exists, then teaches a nation to carry that way in its bones. Through crossing, remembrance, and renewed consecration. First movement, the river that forgets to flow. At dawn, the camp rises. Priests lift the ark and step toward the swollen Jordan. The command is exact. When the soles of their feet rest in the water, the flow will halt. It happens as spoken. Far upstream, the waters stand in a heap. Before the priests, the riverbed shows its stones. Israel files past in ordered silence, crossing on dry ground while the priests remain immovable in the midst, bearing the weight of holy nearness. No raft, no bridge. Presence goes first, and the impossible becomes a path. The courage asked of Israel is not to invent a means, but to follow the one who makes 1 second movement, stones that refuse to be silent. Before the ark leaves the river, 12 men, one from each tribe, receive a task. Lift 12 stones from the riverbed and carry them to the night's lodging. Joshua also sets 12 stones where the priests stand, a hidden altar beneath the future current. On the bank, the stones are raised into a memorial. Children will ask, "What do these stones mean?" The answer will come like liturgy. The waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. He made a dry road for his people. Memory becomes armor. The nations hear and tremble. Israel hears and learns to fear rightly, that they may not sin. The heap by the path and the heap beneath the water hold the same sermon. What God parts, no man can close. What God joins, no current can undo. Third movement. A people marked again, a table kept, a sword drawn. With feet on promised ground, Israel pauses at Gilgal. The men are circumcised. The reproach of Egypt is rolled away. The Passover is kept. Manna ceases. The produce of the land becomes their bread. Gifts change, giver unchanged. Then Joshua, near Jericho, lifts his eyes and sees a man opposite him with a drawn sword in his hand. "Are you for us or for our adversaries?" Joshua asks. "No, but I am the commander of the army of the Lord. Now I have come." Sandals come off. The ground is holy. Here courage is corrected and refined. The battle is not Israel's possession to wield. It is the Lord's to command. Strategy will be received, not invented. Victory will be obedience, not bravado. 12 river stones stacked in a rough circle at Gilgal, their wet faces catching evening light, while beyond them Jericho's walls darken and a solitary figure with a drawn sword stands in the stillness between camp and city. Amid the halted river, the teaching stones, and the drawn sword on holy ground, what sign steadies your heart the most? The memorial is raised and sandals rest on promised soil. Now the plan for Jericho will descend. Silence, trumpets, a long note, and a shout that belongs to the Lord. What kind of battle begins with silence, keeps pace with a slow procession, and ends with a shout that does not belong to men? Jericho does not yield to siegecraft, it yields to obedience. The ark goes before the people, priests carrying it on their shoulders, 7 trumpets of ram's horn resting in priestly hands. Around the city once each day for 6 days, the army walks in ordered quiet while the horns sound their simple note. No taunts rise from Israel, no stones fly from the wall. The pattern itself is the weapon. Presence leading, patience holding, trust keeping, step without explanation. On the 7th day, the rhythm changes. 7 circuits, a long blast. Then the command that has waited all week. Raise the shout. Dust leaps like mist from the stones. The wall fails. The city is opened not by human cunning, but by the fear of the Lord resting upon every stone. Mercy has an address within the falling. A scarlet cord hangs in a window, the sign sworn to a woman who hid the spies and asked for kindness. In a city devoted to destruction, that room becomes a sanctuary. Rahab and all with her are kept alive, gathered out and set among the people. The same obedience that brings ruin to proud walls brings rescue to a marked house. Courage learns to remember the cord when the ground shakes, for judgment and mercy can move side by side under the same trumpet's cry. But victory carries a warning. What is devoted to the Lord must not be taken for private keeping. One man hides a forbidden wedge of gold, a garment in silver under his tent. The camp learns the sharpness of holiness when defeat meets them at eye and fear chills their bones. The matter is exposed, the thief is named, the evil is removed. Then the Lord restores courage with a new word and a new plan. Ai falls not by presumption, but by instruction received. Afterward, on a mountain divided between blessing and curse, an altar is built, and the words of the covenant are read aloud. Swords are sheathed while a nation listens, so that courage will not forget the voice that makes it stand. This last movement binds three truths to the heart. First, walls fall, where presence leads and patience holds. The ark at the center, the people in step, the shout at the Lord's command. Second, cords of mercy do not snap in the quake. The promise keeps every soul within that marked space. Third, holiness guards the camp. Nothing hidden can harden the hand of God on their behalf. Courage that enters the land must be courage that obeys, remembers, and is refined. Holy Lord, give us the courage that keeps step with your presence, the mercy that remembers every promise, and the reverence that refuses hidden thefts. Keep our mouths closed when you say be silent, our feet moving when you say go, and our shout ready when you say now. Let victory be obedience, not pride, and let our houses be marked by your kindness. Amen. The river has opened, the wall has fallen, and the heart has been tested. Now the meaning of courage must be gathered and a call given for the road ahead. In this story, courage isn't a roar. It is a small yes under the loving gaze of God. The journey into promise gathers itself into a single confession. The Lord is near, His word is sure, and His mercy binds what His hand begins. What courage needs is not louder will, but clearer belonging. First, courage rests in presence. The charge to Joshua is not a motivational slogan. It is a covenant nearness spoken into a servant's ribs. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. When steps are taken, because He is with you, the ground beneath those steps becomes more than dirt. It becomes answered faith. Courage that lasts is attention turned Godward, not adrenaline turned inward. Second, courage remembers mercy. A sign at a window teaches that deliverance is not earned by strength, but held by promise. The heart that keeps covenant kindness before its eyes will not confuse victory with self-importance. Mercy steadies the soul, so obedience can keep its pace without panic. Fear loosens where promises are kept in plain sight. Third, courage honors holiness. The story does not flatter hidden hands. It exposes them so that the camp may stand again. Holiness is not the enemy of courage. It is the guardrail that keeps courage from becoming pride. Where the Lord's word orders the way, courage does not sprint ahead. It waits, listens, and moves at His command. Gather these threads and the shape becomes simple and strong. Presence received, mercy remembered, holiness honored. Such courage does not need to shout, it needs to hold. It needs to keep step. It needs to lift stones of remembrance so the young can ask and the old can answer, and a nation can breathe under the weight of a faithful God. Which of these truths do you most need to carry into your own crossing? Presence that steadies, mercy that marks, or holiness that guards? If this chapter helped you see courage in the light of the Lord's nearness, like, share, and subscribe so more hearts can walk this road with us. Your voice in the comments, your questions, your reflections, helps this journey become a table, not just a broadcast next episode. The Judges, when everyone did what was right in their own eyes. We will watch what becomes of a people when memory grows thin, and how the God who calls still raises deliverers in the dark.